How's it going, YouTube? It's Lucas here from DVD205 channel, and today I am in the worst recording spot possible. But you know what? I don't care. So, this is a Traxxas Hawk stadium truck, which is around 1990-ish, from what I can tell, coming out after the Traxxas Radicator buggy, which was a buggy. This is a stadium truck, but the main difference between the Radicator and this, the Hawk, is that the motor is mounted way up here. But as you can tell, normally Traxxas vehicles have the motor pretty much as far down as possible. Actually, the chassis used to probably do that before it was broke. So, this, as I said, around 1990s, and it was kind of more when Traxxas was doing racing stuff. But with a motor up here, it tends to do wheelies. I mean, I can't really get mine to do it, but, probably could later on. But doing wheelies, as you can probably guess, is not the best for doing, or for racing, when Traxxas was doing racing. Anyway, so, this is a two-wheel drive stadium truck with fully independent suspension all around. I don't really entirely know if everything on this is original. I kind of got it and made it work. Interestingly, a lot of the stuff that is on this buggy, or stadium truck, whatever, is compatible with the Hawk and Hawk 2, the Radicator, and whatever else, and even some modern vehicles, which most of this can probably fit onto, like, Traxxas Bandit. The rear arms, I know, at least, will work. The drive shafts and everything. The differential outputs are actually close to Traxxas Fortec, a 1993 Fortec differential outputs, but still, they definitely, if I find any of those, I'll put it on here and, like, rest them on it, basically. But for now, it works pretty darn well. But as you can probably guess, this is supposed to have a bunch of white plastic all over it. It's supposed to be, it looks like an RC10 from the time. Well, I mean, from before the time, but whatever. These body posts are actually not original. I mean, they're kind of, these are like black modern ones, but the other ones were like way brittler and also white. So parts are aluminum on this. This is pretty standard, actually. Aluminum, well, not aluminum, but some type of metal, gold metal for the front shock tower, some type of metal for the back shock tower and chassis plate, also the same metal for the motor plate. Actually, a very interesting thing about the Traxxas Hawk 2 and Hawk and whatever, this is a Hawk, is that it takes very, very deep dish tires, which I don't have. Yeah, it has, these are RC10 T3 tires, and if you know about those, these do not have any, it's bearings are in the tires. I don't know why I can't say that. So this does not have anything in here to roll on. It just rolls on some bearings. These are ball bearings, but normally they're gold little brass bushings. And these would roll for quite a while if you have ball bearings in here. But these you can actually swap out to modern Traxxas parts. Most of this is actually modern Traxxas. From way back then, you can tell that most of the stuff is compatible. But what I find really interesting is that this is not your regular gear cover. I mean, at least not since Traxxas has made them. This pinion is huge, and this spur gear is tiny. And then there's this idler gear. Well, I mean, technically this is the idler gear, but then there's this gear. most of the transmission is inside of, well, the transmission, but it significantly gears down through here, and the gears are just much bigger and the smaller, whatever. Much different than what you'd find with standard exposed 2-gear platform. This one's 3 gears before it goes into the transmission, probably because it's a lot taller. Like, you might, I believe the Radicator has the motor down here, where it normally would be on a modern Traxxas. It also just only has 2 exposed gears, but because of this, whatever. So, actually speaking of the transmission is compatible, and you can swap it out completely to a modern unit, and A-arms and shocks and everything. I actually tried to do that. I don't really want to, because this one's practically original, and I'm assuming it was probably raced at least once. I have to find some tires, a body, other stuff to get it actually like fairly original. Yes, receiver is a vintage Traxxas 27 unit controller, 2-channel. I could grab it, but whatever. You probably have several trillion of them. XL5 ESC, and actually, like, one of the first examples of the Traxxas steering horn, servo saver, with actually a Futaba servo, but that's not important. Actually, interesting, this has Ackerman steering. It's kind of hard to tell, but it definitely does have some resemblance of what would be considered Ackerman steering, which is where the inside tire of your radius circle turns farther in than your outside one because circles. This does have a full gear differential, which means you can swap out the oils and make it stiffer, but honestly, having the softer differential is kind of probably a good thing in an old car like this. You don't want it too hard, otherwise you'll land and it'll strip out and annihilate the drive shafts, especially if they're original. But luckily, you can actually replace them. You have to cut down, you either have to get banded ones or cut these down. This is a Traxxas outdrive, and like anything black on here is modern. Again, this is like 1993 Traxxas 4Tech outdrives, which I might have to swap out too, because these ones are, you probably can't see anything, but these ones have quite a bit of play. This drive shaft is the one that's actually original. I'm surprised this one didn't shatter itself. Hubs, I believe these are close to 4x4 rear ones or something. They might be proprietary, but I'm sure you can probably figure out something to put in here and make it work. This one has some type of toe-in built into the steering knuckle or the lower suspension arm, or the A-arm, whatever. So this one has some type of toe-in built into one of the sides. I'd have to find another something to put in here so it goes actually straight. So that probably suggests that there are upgrades for it to make it toe in so it can race a bit better. I don't know if I'm actually going to race this necessarily. It'll probably like fall apart before I ever actually do that. And standard carpet tires probably don't fit. I'm gonna probably guess that 2.2 carpet tires, like fully inset, don't, well, any 2.2 tires probably don't fit on here very well because of the rear 4x4 A-arm, or the output, whatever. So, as you can tell, this one also has servo mounts back here. This probably did have an MSC at one point, mechanical speed control, either as it was Eradicator or when it was the Hawk or whatever. It still has the front body post from the Eradicator. You can probably figure out something to make a bandit body work on here. It actually probably look pretty cool. I believe this is a Eradicator front bumper. If that doesn't necessarily work very well, I think you can take it off and replace it with something newer. So yeah, most stuff can work with it. The only thing is that the battery tray does not fit lipos in it whatsoever. You have to use 6-cell nickel metal hydrides or something, or like a smaller lipo. Standard hard cases won't work. Maybe ones with terminals could, but I don't know. Battery holder is not the same as a standard Stampede one. It's a lot wider. So yeah. Yeah. As in, what I'm probably going to be doing with this is probably nothing. I don't know what it came with. I don't plan on reverting to stock. It has funnily enough, a team associated 15-turn motor, which is just ironic to me because, you know, Traxxas team associated, whatever. Probably have to solder the motor back together because that broke on me, disappointingly. This vehicle lasted a long time on stick cell nickel hydride. You could probably get a 7-cell hump pack in here if you really tried. You probably have to move and reconfigure this. This is actually supposed to be completely flipped, but whatever. Yeah, I don't know what else to do. This thing, probably have to find new tires for it, because these ones are a lot thinner. Have to find a new body. I can probably search around for like a modern wrestler body, but I don't particularly care for those. Probably, I don't know, I can find something and probably get it to work. It's not necessarily that important, or like, yeah. Yeah. Lucas out. Bye, YouTube.